I made my food. Where am I putting this? Here? Hopefully. This little muff came off. It's not going to be windy inside anyway, so I probably don't really need it, but go back on, please. Thank you. There we go. I was watching a video earlier of like, it's this like, I think she's actually a chef, but like, her whole thing is like cooking, and she was like 10 ways to use leftover kimchi, and I had kimchi and she made kimchi jjigae, and I was like, now I feel like eating kimchi jjigae, so I made mine. It kind of broke, but it's because I'm so bad at following recipes. First of all, I never follow a recipe, I just do what I want, and I wanted to add protein to it, so I added in eggs and like cut down the flour and like the corn flour that you would put in, but anyway, I'm gonna taste this first actually. And these tomatoes, by the way, grown in my garden, just saying. I mean, I didn't grow them, but I bought the starter plant, so I'm gonna say that it was me. It tastes good. Anyway, so I was speaking to one of my friends who I'm going to see soon, so that's good. But she, like, you know how it is when you speak to somebody after a while, like you talk about, like you reminisce and stuff, and we were talking about one of our other friends who she doesn't really speak too much anymore, and it kind of like made me think about like friendship breakups and stuff, because usually your friends are like your quote unquote chosen family, because you can't choose which family you're born into, but you can choose like who you spend like time with and like who you hang out with. So in essence, friendship breakups can be more difficult, and I mean, I guess we're all in different places because we were all friends together, but then like it's not like we all had a friendship breakup, it's just like some of us did. And like, so I still speak to this person occasionally, but I think the thing about, like I said, they can be harder because you chose the person at that time, but like circumstances change over time, and especially as an adult, like you have to, sorry about that, as an adult you really have to put in effort into friendships, and if you don't, you can grow apart, because people, first of all, people's like lives start either diverging or converging, which can make them closer than they were before or further away than they were before. But also, it's like people start becoming woke to what they want, because when you're younger, you're still trying to figure out who you are and what you want. But when you're you're still trying to figure out all out in your 20s. And I actually saw this really cute video recently, and it was about making friends in your 20s or your 30s or whatever. And I think since watching that video, like frequency bias, I just like noticed more people around me, and more conversations have struck up around me about like people that have made friends like when they're not childhood friends, which I think is what a lot of people think that friendship is. It's like, oh, we went to school together, or like we went to like university together or whatever. But often it can be like, oh, we work together, or we, like, I don't know, if people have kids, like their kids are friends, so that's how they saw each other, or like, you know, they run, or like they are involved in the same activity. I need to remember to eat this because this is delicious. Give me a minute while I eat some. I realise I'm going to take ages to eat this, but it's so crispy. The ends, like the crispy parts, oh, they're my favorite. But I do think that it's important to determine, especially when you're like in your mid to late 20s at least, is like why you're friends with certain people, because oftentimes it can be because of like convenience or commonality or proximity. So for example, like I said, if you're in the same like if you go to the same school, because you're essentially, when you're at school, you spend more time with the people like in your class than you do with like people at home. And like, or are you in the same university like course, or I don't know, like, do you live near each other? But it's like, why are you actually friends though? Because like, if you took out all those compounding factors of like proximity and stuff like that, it's like, would you actually be friends with this person? And I guess, look, my other friend realized that the answer is no, because she doesn't want people in her life or to use up time. She doesn't hate this person, by the way, but she doesn't want to use up time spending it on someone who's not making the effort back. And a lot of adulting and adult friendships are about, you know, making effort with each other. It's like just checking in, because you know, the best friendships, I always find that is where you may not have spoken for months, years, whatever, but when you do speak, it's like nothing has changed, or obviously things have changed, but it still feels just as comfortable as you remember it being. And so it's important to evaluate your friendships. And also, there's no shame in like not really having friendships, because maybe they don't add value to you. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, some people thrive with like a massive group of people. They like being part of a big group. Some people prefer to have fewer friends but really intense friendships where you sort of see each other all the time. There's other people who like to have a few friends, but they don't want it to be intense. They want it to be relaxing, because those friends are supposed to be, you know, like a break away from like the rest of their life. So no shame on having too many friends or not having any, like not having a best friend or like whatever. I honestly feel that like feeling like you need to have a best friend is like low-key kind of childish, because again, life is transient, and just because somebody is your best friend now, or you might consider them your best friend now, in the future they might have different morals, different beliefs, different things. Like, it's quite difficult, not even like horrible way, but it's quite difficult to be best friends with someone actively if, I don't know, you live in New York and they live in Australia. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, they live in Sydney, you live in New York. It's going to be really difficult because of like the time difference and everything. So I'm not saying you can't do that, because you absolutely probably can. But to me, that'd be super difficult. And at that point, that would just be my friend who lives in Sydney or whatever. So yeah. Gonna go back to my food now, because it's getting a bit cold. It still tastes good though. But yeah. Bye.